Today's video, I'm going to platinum every Doom game, from the classics released in the 90s to the most recent release, Doom: The Dark Ages. That's a total of 226 trophies across 8 games. I spent over 170 hours to get all these platinums. It was by far the most exhausting platinum series I've done so far, not to mention the days it took to edit this video. So, if you could help me out by subscribing to the channel and hyping up the video, I'd appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's get to the video. The first one we're going to platinum obviously had to be the one that started the whole saga, Doom 1. Released in 1993 and selling over 4 million copies within 6 years of its launch, Doom is known as one of the fathers of the FPS genre. But I had never played a Doom game until now, and for my first experience, I thought it was incredible, even for a game from the 90s. And, well, if you thought the Doom Platinum would be easy, you were mistaken. With an 8 out of 10 difficulty and 20 trophies in total, you can already imagine the suffering here. But relax, it gets worse, much worse. The game is divided into 4 level sections, with a trophy for each part. The guide I used was separated into different stages, suggesting first beating the game on a relaxed difficulty to get the easier trophies, and then, once you get the hang of it, going for the speed run trophy, which requires finishing the game in under 2 hours. But I didn't do it that way. I preferred to do everything at once to save a playthrough. So our focus will be to finish all 37 levels of the game as quickly as possible. Right in the first few levels, I got a trophy for crushing a corpse with a door. Basically, I had to lure an enemy and kill it in the doorway. In this same level, I also unlocked a trophy for finding a secret, which are different exits from the main one. In this case, I used it because it was faster for the speed run. Continuing through the levels, I also unlocked a trophy for killing 2 enemies with a barrel explosion. And then at the end of the first section, we have these 2 demons as bosses. Killing them and finishing this part got me the knee deep in the dead trophy. And while I was finishing the second part of the levels, I got 2 combat-related trophies. One for getting a triple kill with a shotgun, and another for killing 5 enemies in under 5 seconds with the plasma rifle. After that, I just focused on finishing the levels in this section until I reached this boss, which was a bit annoying. He has a lot of health, so it took a while to kill him, and with that, I got the Shores of Hell trophy. And for those who don't know, the BFG is the most badass weapon in the game. You can obliterate any enemy in your range, and there's an interesting trophy with it, Overkill, where I need to kill just 1 enemy with a BFG shot. Then, at the end of this episode, there's a boss. As always this time, it was this giant robotic spider. For the Headhunter trophy, we need to kill 1 of every type of enemy, and in this case, the spider was the last one. It was a bit of a pain to kill because this thing had so much health. In addition to the Headhunter trophy, we also got the Inferno trophy. And now, to beat the game, there's just 1 more episode left. Completing it gets us the Thy Flesh Consumed trophy. Since we're playing on easy mode for now, it was pretty straightforward. Okay, I was supposed to get the speedrun trophy, but unfortunately I couldn't do it in under 2 hours. Luckily, I don't have to redo all the levels because each level's time is counted separately, and then the best time you had in each level is summed up, needing to be under 2 hours. So I just had to redo a few levels until I got the 2-hour time and the I'm the man. Alright, the next trophy requires us to find all the secret levels, and there was one that was a real pain. I had to make this jump you're seeing in a very tight time frame. Any tiny second I lost, the door to the secret level would close. Luckily, in this game, we can save without having to start over, so I could keep repeating the jump until I got the not a very good secret trophy. And now begins the hardest trophy in this game, which will be a recurring theme in the next Doom games. I need to beat all levels on Nightmare difficulty. Besides making enemies do much more damage, they respawn after a short time, sometimes in a matter of seconds. On top of that, I have to play in split-screen co-op mode, where you don't have the option to save mid-level. If you die, you start all over again. To get through this mode, you have to be prepared to die a lot, thousands of times. Seriously, I wanted to punch my monitor and throw the controller at the wall all the time. And in this one level, I tried to do this jump that skips almost the entire level, but I spent about 30 minutes just trying to land it, so in the end, I'm not even sure if it was worth. Well, level 6 was by far the hardest of them all. Seriously, it took hours just to get past that damn thing. There was another level where I tried to use a glitch. Yes, I was trying anything I could to make my life easier, but this glitch was much more complicated to pull off. I spent over an hour trying. It basically works like this. If you keep pushing into the corner where 2 walls meet, the game can bug out and let you walk as if you had no clip enabled. After managing that, I still had to hit the very edge of this button to press it and pass the level. And when I was close to finishing all the levels on this boss, I accidentally got a trophy. I needed to finish a cyber demon with the pistol. At that moment, the ammo for the weapon I was using ran out, and I had to switch to the pistol. It was literally 1 shot with the pistol. Seriously, what a coincidence. So I just kept going through the levels until I reached the last one with the spider, and by killing it, we finally got the not so bad trophy. the most annoying trophy out of the way, I only had 4 left for the platinum. 2 of them were for getting kills in deathmatch mode, so that's what we'll do first. It was pretty easy. I just plugged in my second controller and farmed the kills. One for 25 kills, and another for 100. For the next trophy, I needed to get 25 kills using only my fists. So I chose this level that had a berserk orb, making it easier to kill with fists. And finally, the last trophy needed for the platinum was to finish a level with 200% armor and 200% health. This trophy could be a real pain to get, but luckily there's a simple way to do it, which is to play deathmatch mode on this specific map because it already has the orb and armor to get you to 200%. So I just finished the match by killing my second controller 5 times and got the untouchable trophy, and with it, the platinum. In total, it took around 14 hours to platinum. I thought the game was really good. Next up is Doom 2. Released in 1994, it came with several improvements over the first one, but also with a much more extreme difficulty, being by far the hardest Doom of them all. With a 10 out of 10 difficulty, this one is much harder than the first. Seriously, I spent about 3 days playing all day just to get through Nightmare mode, making it the hardest platinum I've done so far. Let's first grab the other, easier trophies, starting by beating the game on the easiest difficulty. The first few levels are pretty straightforward, and right at the beginning, I got a trophy for causing one enemy to kill another. Moving on, I also got a trophy for taking environmental damage, in this case, by falling into this green stuff. I also got a trophy for dying with the splash damage from my own rocket launcher. The levels here are separated into 3 sections, 11 in space, 9 in the city, and 10 in hell, with a trophy for completing each section. After I was around level 12, I decided to restart the game from the first stage and try to get the speedrun trophy right away to save some time. For this, you have to beat the game within 2 hours. With 30 levels in total, it might sound very difficult, but it was actually manageable because when you pause the game, the timer also pauses. So I kept playing until I had passed all the city levels, earning a trophy. I was doing well, managing to finish in a good time. I couldn't see the exact time, but according to my calculations, I was within the 2-hour limit. But then, the biggest screw-up I've ever made happened. It made my heart ache. I was already on level 30, the last one. All I had to do was pass it to get the speedrun trophy. But accidentally, while the game was paused, I pressed L1, which makes the game load the last save without even asking for confirmation. Just like that, I was back on level 9. And the worst part, that save was from my first playthrough, where I had spent a lot of time completing the levels, and there was no way I could finish the speedrun in time from there. So, I had to start everything over from level 1, even though I was already on the last level, level 30. So, while I was doing it all over again, I got a trophy for killing 4 enemies with a single shot from the super shotgun. And then, finally the trophy for completing the game in under 2 hours, along with one for passing all the hell levels. Now, I went after the trophy for completing all the master levels, which are 20 in total. So, I spent a good amount of time playing in this mode, and it's a bit more difficult than the main campaign. Thank goodness I didn't have to beat this on Nightmare difficulty, or it would have been just too sad. After a while of going through all of them, I got the trophy. And finally, the big moment arrived. The time to get the hardest trophy of my life, which is for completing the 30 main levels on Nightmare difficulty. The problem is, it has to be done in co-op split screen, because this trophy was designed to be earned with more than 1 player. Up to 4 players, but only local, no online. But since I had no one to help me, I had to play it alone. On the first level, I got a trophy for killing a teammate in co-op mode. Now, my friends, I'll tell you the truth. This was painful. I pushed through this out of sheer spite. For those who don't know, the difference in this mode is that the enemy's speed and damage are increased by 200%, and they also respawn after a random amount of time, which can vary from a few seconds to a minute. The only advantage is that all the keys you collect and buttons you press are saved even if you die. And let's be honest, if the keys didn't carry over after death, it would be literally impossible to beat this, for real. On top of all that, you can't save in the middle of a level. If you die, you start from the beginning. The only strategy I used to get through this was basically brute force. You rush and die until, by luck and a miracle, you manage to grab the key, and thus you progress until you pass everything. But it's complete chaos. If there were a death counter, it would probably be somewhere around 50,000, and I'm not even kidding, because I spent about 30 hours in this mode dying every 10 seconds. In the midst of all this mess, I got a trophy for killing every type of enemy. And, well, as much as possible, everything was going okay. Even if I spent more than an hour on the same level, I could eventually pass it. But that changed when I reached level 11. This one was just bizarre. I tried for hours to beat this damn thing. I wanted to smash my controller every second, and I just couldn't do it. I tried so hard, I swear, until finally, I gave up. Calm down. I didn't give up on the platinum, but on playing on the current patch. In the older patches of the game, it was a bit easier. with the enemies being slightly slower, because man, seriously, on the latest patch, it's simply impossible. And it's not just me saying this, you literally have to be a god at this game to do it. And mind you, I hadn't even reached level 29 yet, which was the hardest one. So, to sort of unpatch the game, I had to do some really annoying stuff that I won't even explain here, and it made a good difference. It was far from easy, it was still complete chaos, but at least now I felt it was humanly possible. I managed to pass level 11 after about an hour of trying. The next levels were easier compared to level 11, and along the way, I got a trophy for finding a secret level. Another for killing 12 enemies with a single BFG shot, which is a very OP weapon, and one for firing 200 consecutive rounds with the chain gun. This one was actually bugged because I wasn't even trying for it and only shot a little before the trophy popped. I didn't understand why, but I'm not complaining. After many hours, we finally reached level 29, the hardest of them all. This one is so complicated to pass that we first need to go to level 28, collect a ton of weapons and ammo to prepare for level 29, because passing it with just the starting pistol is impossible. But this means that if we die, we have to do level 28 all over again, and then level 29. Yeah, it was painful. I got so pissed off trying to beat this crap that I decided to take a break and get the other trophies. There was one where I needed to get 100 kills in deathmatch mode, so I just set up my second controller and farmed the kills until I got the trophies. One for 25 kills and another for 100 kills. The next one was for finding all the secret levels, and I was actually only missing one, so it was pretty straightforward. And now, with a calm mind, I went back and tried my luck on level 29 and finally succeeded. With level 29 completed, the platinum was now within my reach. Only one more level to go, which is much easier because you can just brute force it until you pass. And just like that, I got the platinum. This was by far the hardest platinum trophy I've ever earned. I even thought about giving up halfway through, but you know how it is. Never give up, because sometimes you might be just one block away from the diamonds. This was by far the most difficult and time-consuming Doom, taking 56 hours to finish. With Doom 1 and 2 finished, it was time to do the remastered version of the game. Released in August 2024, this version includes not only Doom 1 and 2, but also other expansions that add several new demons/enemies. And it has a completely remixed soundtrack, which, in my opinion, is awesome. This version is much easier, with a difficulty of only 3 out of 10. The reason for this is that besides not requiring you to beat all levels on Nightmare mode, you can also use cheats in the game without disabling trophies. To do this, you need to connect a mouse and keyboard and type in some commands, just like in the PS2 era. But don't worry, for most of the trophies, I won't be using any cheats. I started by getting the Nightmare difficulty related trophy, which is much easier than in the standalone versions of Doom. For this one, we only need to complete one level on this difficulty, so obviously we'll pick the easiest one, level 1. And right away, I ended up getting the not so friendly fire trophy for causing an enemy to kill another enemy. Then, I easily finished this first level and got the more like a dream trophy. Okay, now for the trophies that require me to get 100% in a level, getting all items and killing all enemies without taking any damage on ultra-violence difficulty. I could have gotten each one separately, but to speed things up, I did all 5 at once. It might sound difficult, but it's actually manageable because besides being able to choose any level to do this, you can save at any time during the level, allowing you to keep reloading your save whenever you take damage. So it's just a matter of time until you can get through without taking any damage. And the first of the 5 trophies I got was for finding a secret area. Then, while I was trying to kill everyone without taking damage, I ended up hitting a barrel, executing 2 enemies, and getting the Timing is Everything trophy. After completing this level and getting a true 100%, I got all the other 4 trophies at once. Alright, now I went after all the other combat-related trophies. The first 2 were for getting kills using good old fists, no weapons. A man and a half for getting 20 executions with the Berserk power-up, which is basically an orb that makes us do much more damage. And the guns are for Woos's trophy for killing 25 demons using fists. For the next one, I had to get 100 kills with the chainsaw, so it was a bit more tedious. The strategy I used was to save the game right in front of 2 enemies, and then keep reloading the save after killing them. I just kept repeating this until I got the Until It Is Done trophy. For the Groovy trophy, I needed to get a triple kill with 1 shotgun blast. I just had to line up the enemies and fire away to get the trophy. Similar to the last one, for the Skeet Shooting trophy, I needed to get a quad kill with 1 shot from the super shotgun. For this, I used the second level of Doom 2, because there's a super shotgun near a lot of enemies. The Heavenly Joy trophy was pure joy indeed, and I just had to fire 200 bullets non-stop with the chain gun. For the Bowling for Gibbs trophy, I needed to kill at least 3 enemies with 1 explosion from this weapon, but I don't know why it was a bit bugged. Tried for a long time, and even when I got a triple kill, it didn't work. So I left it for later and went for the No Rest for the Living trophy, which requires reaching the end of that DLC. As it happened, I was already on that level, so I just finished it, but man, what a confusing level. Seriously, I had to watch a video on how to pass it because I was pressing all sorts of buttons and couldn't find the exit. Whoever played this before the internet was widespread must have spent a good while figuring out how to get through. Then I went back to the trophy I couldn't get, and after trying on another level, I got it on the first try. Those demons I was killing probably didn't count. On that same level, I already got a few other trophies. One for killing 5 enemies in 5 seconds with the plasma rifle, and another for killing just 1 enemy with a BFG shot. And just like in the previous games, here, I also have to crush an enemy's body with a door. At this point, I decided to start using cheats because otherwise, it would be very time-consuming to do everything. For the overprepared trophy, I had to finish a level with 200% health and armor, so I just turned on God mode and no clip and finished the level. The next one was much more annoying, even with cheats. I had to kill one of every enemy, and that includes all the DLCs. The worst part is that in the end, I missed one and didn't know which one it was, so I had to keep replaying a bunch of levels until the indiscriminate headhunter trophy unlocked. Alright, now we only have 2 more combat-related trophies. One was to incinerate 30 arachnoids. For that, I just saved right before the spider died and kept reloading and killing it until I got the kill it with fire trophy. This next one was pretty cool. I needed to kill at least 50 enemies with 1 shot from this new weapon. For that, I went to this level that had a part swarming with these creatures. Seriously, it looks like an anthill. Now we need to get a series of trophies for beating Doom 1 and 2, plus all the DLCs. This could take days to finish, but since we're using cheats, we can jump straight to the last level of each game, making these trophies very easy. The last trophy that could have been difficult is Untouchable, where we need to complete 8 different levels in a row on ultra-violent difficulty faster than the par time, which is the time it took the developer to beat the levels as fast as possible. After that, I got a trophy for finding a secret level. Pretty straightforward. And finally, for the last trophy, I need to finish a cyber demon with a pistol. The strategy I used to do this was to keep saving the game while damaging it until it was almost dead, and then reload the last save to deliver the final blow with the pistol, unlocking the shoot it until it dies trophy, and the platinum. It took me a total of only 2 hours to get the platinum. The next one we'll platinum is Doom 64. Released in March 1997, it was initially a game made for the Nintendo 64, developed by Midway, trying to get a piece of the pie that was Doom's success. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have a platinum trophy. With a 2 out of 10 difficulty and only 10 trophies, this is by far the fastest one to complete. Well, our objective now is to get this trophy with a weird name full of codes that I have no idea what it means. To get it, we need to blow up all the barrels in the level, which are 10 in total. This will open a portal that takes us to the secret level, Hectic. The problem is that this portal only stays open for a few seconds, and it appears at the spawn, so we'll leave the first barrel to be blown up last. And while I was getting one of the barrels, I discovered a secret area unlocking a trophy. Then, after completing the whole level, I went back to the start, destroyed the last barrel, entered the portal, and unlocked the RVN8. And this game has a password system that can teleport us to any level of the game with any weapon we want, and I'm going to use that to get the rest of the trophies. Yes, but don't worry, this will be the last Doom I use cheats on. So first, I use the password that teleports us to the final boss where we can get the Mother Mage UI trophy. But before we face the boss, let's get 2 trophies for finding 2 special weapons. And as it happens, this boss room already has all the weapons on the floor to pick up, one of them being the BFG, which is known in all Doom games, and the Unmaker. And this weapon is so badass I really liked it. I simply obliterated the boss. After that, I got the Walk the Path trophy for beating all the lost levels. In this case, I just teleported to the last level and beat it. For the next one, I needed to get 3 keys in the main campaign, which without using the password system would require playing through the whole game to find them, and they are missable. But I'm not doing it that way. Using this password, I'm teleported to the last level with the first 2 keys already. So I just needed to collect the last one for the Persistence is the Key trophy. The next one was very simple. I just needed to kill a cyber demon, and with the BFG, it was a piece of cake. Now I only had 2 trophies left, related to 2 special levels. One is a fun level, which is this really dark one where you can barely see anything. And the other is for finishing the no escape level on Watch Me Die difficulty. This game was very easy and quick. It only took 1 hour to finish. Now for the next on the list, Doom 3. Released in August 2004, Doom 3 brought a completely different look from the classics, focusing on realistic graphics and a darker atmosphere. Unlike the frantic style of Doom 1 and 2, this one bets more on suspense and tense moments, with low lighting and enemies that pop out of nowhere. This game has a 9 out of 10 difficulty, taking at least 45 hours to finish. The reason for this is that the game has 3 different campaigns, and you need to beat each one first on the easiest difficulty, getting all collectibles, and then beat everything again on Nightmare difficulty. This was by far the longest and most tedious Doom, due to having to repeat all the campaigns. Well, the story of this game takes place on Mars, where teleportation experiments end up opening a portal to hell. Demons invade the base, and most of the staff either turn into zombies or are torn to shreds, leaving it up to us to find out what the hell happened. And in this first playthrough, we're going to focus on getting all the collectibles, and again, doing a speedrun to beat the game in under 10 hours. But this time, it's much more relaxed. Seriously, you have to mess around a lot not to finish in 10 hours. Progressing through the story, the first one we get is for killing an enemy while having only 1 health. Continuing on, we face the first boss, which is this giant spider. I just used a bunch of grenades and killed it easily, earning the Sticky Situation trophy. And here in this game, there are these robots that follow us through the levels, helping us out. There's a trophy for keeping one alive until it reaches its final destination. Another interesting trophy that's in almost every Doom game is for making 2 demons fight each other. In this case, you just have to get 1 demon to accidentally hit another. After that, I spent hours progressing through the campaign without getting any trophies until I reached this part where I get the Ready for Action trophy for acquiring the BFG, the badass one. Then the next boss we faced was this Guardian. He works a bit differently. First, you have to kill this flying creature that circles him, and only then can you shoot the light that appears above him. This is where we're introduced to the Soul Cube, which we'll need to use to get the Soul Food trophy by getting 20 kills with it. But before that, we got a few other trophies, the first being Goodie Finder for opening all the storage lockers. And the next boss is this weird looking thing. Seriously, the demons in this game are so strange. The guy is part tank, part human, part demon. I don't know what the hell it is. But killing him gets us the You're Not My Boss trophy. Now we have another collectible related trophy where we have to find all the video logs. And now, I finally got the trophy for killing 20 enemies with the Soul Cube. We're very close to finishing the first campaign, and before entering the boss room, I got the All of Us trophy for finding the Secret id Software logo, the game's developer. A very cool Easter egg. After that, a room opens containing the last PDA, getting me the DOOMED Collector trophy. Finally, the last boss of the main campaign is a Cyber Demon. Good thing I had a lot of rocket launcher ammo saved up because this guy takes forever to kill. And well, I was a little worried here because I hadn't unlocked the speedrun trophy yet, but apparently it only popped after the credits, along with the Doomed Recruit trophy. After beating the game once, Nightmare difficulty is unlocked, and we need to beat it again on this difficulty to unlock a trophy, which will also unlock all the other difficulty related ones. And man, it's a nightmare. It's death after death. The only advantage this game has over the others is that even on this difficulty, you can save in the middle of levels, so if you die, you just load the save. And that's what we'll have to do for practically the entire game. Seriously, there were some parts where I had to reload the save at least 20 times to get through. The difficulty here is extreme. At least there's a positive point. We start from the very first level with the Soul Cube, which is pretty overpowered because we can instantly kill 90% of the enemies. So, continuing through the suffering, we get the Boomtastic trophy for blowing up 50 barrels. Then, I also got the Ripped trophy for killing 20 enemies with the chainsaw, which I ended up using a lot this time because it can kill demons pretty quickly and doesn't use ammo. And in that same part, I also got the Unarmed Badass trophy for killing 20 enemies with my fists. I did this trophy after getting the Berserk Orb, which makes it really easy to kill with punches. And man, I didn't enjoy this game that much, but at least I thought the hell part was really cool. It was a good representation. Then, after a few hours of playing, I got the Double the Fun trophy for killing 2 enemies with a single shotgun blast. So after much suffering, it was about 2 days of just playing on this difficulty. I finally finished the campaign. Again, with the guys arriving to save me. Seriously, they could have arrived sooner. And, well, I ended up leaving some missable trophies behind, which means I'll have to play this campaign again, at least part of it. The first trophy can be gotten right at the beginning, where I need to keep punching this turkey until I get 25,000 points, unlocking the Killing Time trophy, which took about 10 minutes of punching the turkey. For the next one, there was a part where a scientist was asking for help, and we had 2 options, kill him or free him. Both times I played, I freed him. So I had to come back here again to get the To Be or Not To Be trophy for killing this scientist. There's a trophy where I need to complete an entire level without taking any damage, on any difficulty. The best level to do this would be one towards the end of the game, before entering Hell. Luckily I had a save that was reasonably close, so I didn't have to play literally everything over again. But first, I got the You Laugh It Works trophy for finding a bloody writing on the wall. And this level is the easiest to get through without taking damage because it only has 4 enemies, with 2 big ones at the end. But it wasn't that easy. I had to reload the save several times to manage to kill them without taking damage, especially since the area is very tight with not much space. With the main story finished, it's time to do the 2 DLCs, and yes, I'll also need to beat them twice, once on Recruit and once on Nightmare. But the difference is that in these, I only need to collect the PDAs, I don't need to get the video logs or open the lockers, which makes it much more manageable to finish. And the DLCs are much quicker too, with the first one taking 4 hours, and the second about 2 hours. So let's start with Resurrection of Evil. The first boss we face is like a time demon. Killing him unlocks the Gimme Time trophy. And then we get his heart, which we'll use instead of the soul cube. With it, we can slow down time to get through various parts of the map, and it also makes it much easier to kill some enemies. Killing this second weird boss gets us the Gimme Power trophy. The next boss has these energy beams around him that protect him. To kill him, we first need to destroy all these capsules, leaving him vulnerable. Right after that, I collected all the PDAs and unlocked the Evil Collector trophy. I also got the Too Slow Fool trophy for killing 5 enemies with 1 use of the heart while time is slowed down. And an exclusive weapon in this DLC is this grabber. With it, we can catch enemy projectiles and throw them back, and killing 20 demons this way gets me the Playcatch trophy. And the last boss we face is this thing. This was by far the hardest boss I faced in the game so far. I died several times even playing on Recruit, and we kill him by shoving the heart down his throat, unlocking the Eat This trophy. With that, we also unlocked the Evil Recruit trophy for finishing the campaign on Recruit. After that, I started this DLC again on Nightmare difficulty, and seriously, this one is much harder than the main game, despite being shorter. And one thing I forgot to mention before is that on this difficulty, your health is always draining until you have 25 health, so you're never at full health. And as I was going through the levels, I got a trophy for killing 20 enemies while time was slowed down. The hardest part of this DLC was undoubtedly this last boss. It took me a while to kill this thing. Thank goodness you can save in the middle of the fight without having to start over from the beginning. With that, I unlocked all the difficulty-related trophies. Now we finally get to the last DLC. This one is very quick and the easiest of them all. And like the others, there's a trophy here for finding all the PDAs. And there's also an Easter egg with the Rage logo, which was an FPS released in 2011 by Bethesda. Then right after killing the final boss, which was very easy, we finish the DLC on Recruit and get the Lost Recruit trophy. Lastly, all that's left is to finish the game in Nightmare mode. Although this DLC is easier than the others, it's far from being actually easy. At least the campaign is short, so you can finish it in about 2 hours if you don't die too much. This game was by far the most annoying and tiring of them all, having to repeat several campaigns. It took me around 45 hours in total to finish. The next one, we'll platinum, is Doom. Released in May 2016, this reboot of the franchise brought back the root of Doom, fast, brutal, and straight to the point. You play as the Doomslayer, a legendary warrior who wakes up from a futuristic sarcophagus right in the middle of a demonic invasion on Mars. No talking, we just get up and start punching zombies. This was my favorite Doom. Everything is perfect, man. The music, the combat, the glory kills. This game makes you feel badass and hyped while killing demons. With a 3/10 difficulty and 25 hours to finish, this platinum is pretty chill. On the first playthrough, we'll focus on getting as many collectibles as possible, but without worrying too much because, unlike the others, in this one we can select any chapter after beating the game and pick up what we missed. The first trophy we get is E1M1 for passing the first mission of the campaign. Shortly after, I also got the Thorough Shopper trophy for completing all the challenges in a single mission. And this game has a rune system where we can gain advantages. To do this, we need to pass the rune trials. This first one was pretty easy. I just needed to kill 15 demons. But as we progress in the game, these challenges get much harder. And by passing this one, I get the A Gift from Beyond trophy. A very interesting collectible in this game are parts of the classic Doom maps. I thought that was really cool. Then I decided to take a break from the campaign to test the multiplayer, where we have a few trophies to get. And since the game is quite old, I might have trouble finding a match. So I always take a break and see if anyone is playing. Luckily this time I found a lobby and got the trophy for winning an online match. Back to the campaign. Going through the missions, there are these energy balls we can pick up and use to upgrade health, armor, and ammo. By fully upgrading one of them, we get the Argent Overload trophy. After this mission, we are teleported to Hell, unlocking the Into the Unknown trophy. And the runes we get from the trials can be upgraded. To do this, we need to complete some challenges with the Momentum Shift trophy for upgrading one rune. And another awesome addition to this game are the glory kills. Whenever you're about to kill a demon, it starts to glow, and by pressing R3, you perform this awesome execution. And there's a trophy for performing a glory kill on every type of common enemy. And like every Doom, this one also has a BFG. To get it, we need to pass through these lasers, and picking it up unlocks the An Old Friend trophy. While I was doing a rune trial that required glory kills, I ended up farming them, getting the Butcher trophy shortly after for getting 200 glory kills. The last rune trial of the campaign was much more annoying to do, because I needed to kill 9 different demons with only 1 health, meaning I couldn't take any damage. And upon completing it, we get the Circle is Complete trophy for getting all the runes. Progressing in the campaign, we encountered the Cyber Demon boss, which I thought was awesome. Seriously, this game is perfect. And since I was dying to him, I decided to upgrade a bit to get stronger. Besides runes, we can also upgrade the suit to get some benefits. To do this, we need to collect Praetor tokens from the map. And after fully upgrading one category of the suit, we get the Tinkering trophy. And now I managed to kill this boss, unlocking the Shoot It Until It Dies trophy. And after fully upgrading health, armor, and ammo, we unlock the Argent Fiend trophy. Scattered around the map, there are also these little robots used to get weapon mods. After getting all the mods, we get the Hot Swapper trophy. Then we face another boss, which is actually just a worm controlling it from the inside. Killing it gets us the Outnumbered, No Problem trophy. Then I was about to finish the campaign and got several collectible related trophies. The first one for finding all the data logs, and another for fully upgrading the suit. The last collectible we get is after killing the final boss. And this woman keeps saying the demon promised a bunch of things and now she's being betrayed. Seriously, you have to be pretty dumb to believe a demon. And the boss is this giant robotic spider. To be honest, I found it pretty easy to kill. And so we get the last collectible, earning the Every Nook and Cranny trophy. We also get the Knee Deep in the Dead trophy for completing the campaign, and another for defeating the giant spider. With the campaign concluded, I decided to try my luck and see if I could find a lobby in multiplayer. It took a while, but I managed to find one. We need to play at least a couple of matches to get the combat tested. Doom Guy approved trophy for reaching level 5 in multiplayer. Now I had to go back into the campaign with mission select and do the challenges I left behind, as well as all the weapon mastery challenges and upgrading all the runes. While doing this, I got the Juicing It Up trophy for killing 150 enemies using these power-up orbs. And then the first one I completed was for doing all the mission challenges, which I had already done most of, so it was pretty straightforward. On the other hand, the weapon mastery challenges and rune upgrades were much more time-consuming. It was a few hours of grinding to do them all. There was one that I even used a little bug to finish faster. Then, after finishing the first mastery challenge, we unlocked the Specialist trophy. The next one was the rune upgrades, which took over an hour of grinding. And while I was doing the rest of the weapon masteries, I got a trophy for killing 100 enemies with barrels, which was kind of accidental. While I was killing a demon, I ended up hitting a barrel in the background. Then, after about 30 more minutes of grinding, I got the ID KFA trophy for completing all mastery challenges. The last combat-related trophy was to kill 50 enemies with the chainsaw. Normally I should have gotten this trophy earlier, but since I didn't use the chainsaw much, I had to farm these kills at the end for the up-close and personal trophy. And now, we have the only trophy with a specific difficulty requirement. We need to complete the first mission of the game on Ultra Nightmare difficulty, which, besides being as hard as Nightmare, if we die here, we lose the save. So we need to pass the entire first level without dying. But I did it an alternative way, if you know what I mean. While I was looking online for tips for this trophy, I discovered a glitch that lets you skip the entire level, making this trophy very easy. First, we need to get through this initial part normally, which is very difficult by the way. It took a few tries. And then you just have to do this jump I'm trying. It's a bit hard to get right. Then there's a much trickier jump where we need to get to the corner up top. And that's how we get over, skipping the entire level. This way, it's seriously easy to get the Ato into Madness trophy. Finally, we only have 3 more trophies. These are related to Snap Map mode, which is a gallery where players can create and play maps. For the first trophy, we need to create and publish a map, so I just took a random template and gave it a random name. The next one, we need to play 5 snap maps. To make it easier, I looked for maps the community created specifically for this trophy, where the match ends in seconds. And lastly, the most annoying of all, we literally have to do several tutorials on how to create a map. Seriously, man, I don't understand why they put such a crappy trophy in. Then, after 20 minutes of doing this crap, I unlocked the last trophy along with the platinum. This was the Doom I liked the most out of all of them. The soundtrack blasting while you kill demons, perfect, man. It took me 18 hours to get the platinum. The next one we're going to play is Doom Eternal. Released in March 2020, Doom Eternal is the direct sequel to the 2016 game. In this one, demons invade Earth, and our objective is to exterminate all of them. With much more technical gameplay, we need to constantly switch between weapons, grenades, the chainsaw, and glory kills, because here, ammo is much scarcer, requiring more thoughtful management. Seriously, I lost count of how many times I ran out of ammo and gas for the chainsaw, even having to reset to the last checkpoint. And because of that, we have a slightly elevated difficulty of 4 out of 10 and 30 hours to finish. But before we jump into the campaign, I decided to start with the multiplayer trophies to get them out of the way. There are 6 in total, with one being very annoying and time-consuming, requiring 200 kills in battle mode. This is a mode where you can control either the Slayer or a demon, with the Slayer against 2 demons, in only 3 rounds. It would take days to get this trophy playing normally, but first, I got the Mix and Match trophy, where I just had to play 5 matches with different demons. Then I tried to get the 200 kills, but it was impossible. Only diehards were in the matches, so I went looking for people to do a boost. Luckily, on the same day, I found 2 people willing to help each other out, but in return, I would obviously help them too. And I started by getting the Weapons Expert trophy, where I need to kill a demon player with each of the Slayer's 8 weapons. And then to get the 200 kills, I had to keep killing the guys repeatedly for over an hour. And that's because every time I killed one, there was a 22-second cooldown, and I had to wait for one to respawn to kill the other. Otherwise the round ends and the match eventually finishes. So I just kept repeating this until I got the Bloodbath trophy. And they give me a bronze trophy for this? It makes no sense. Besides the platinum, it's literally the rarest trophy in the game. After that, I had to help the other 2 guys get their 200 kills, which means it was 2 hours of me just standing there dying. But in the end, I took the opportunity to get 2 trophies. For one of them, I needed to heal for at least 50,000 health. Since I was healing about 1,000 at a time, I had to repeat this about 50 times. The other was for dealing 5,000 damage to a Slayer player. This one was much easier. I just kept shooting the guy before he killed me until I got the Fight Like Hell trophy. Well, only one multiplayer trophy left, which was Man vs. Monsters. I needed to play 25 battle mode matches. Since I had already played about 20, I did these last 5 as the Slayer, letting the guys kill me to finish it faster. Now we can finally start the game's campaign, and we need to pay attention to one thing. For the running up the high score trophy, we need to beat the game in extra life mode, where if you die, you lose your save. But you can pick up extra lives on the map, and in this case, we need to have at least 10 lives at the end to get the trophy. The recommended way would be to play normally first, getting the collectibles, and only then play this mode. But I wanted to do it all at once to save time. The disadvantage is that in this mode, there is no chapter select, meaning if I miss a collectible, it will be impossible to get them all on this save. A bit risky, but it will save some time. So, starting the campaign, I already felt a big difference from the last game. I thought the other one was much better than this one. Now, if there's one good thing about this game, it's the cutscenes. Look at this. So badass. Completing the first chapter gets us the Doomsday Trophy. In this game, after completing missions, we are teleported to this ship that functions as a hub. I thought it was really cool. There will be a lot for us to explore at the end of the game. And it was here that I got my first crystal, which I can use to upgrade my health, armor, and ammo, and with that, getting the Crystal Craving Trophy. Then, in the next chapter, as I was doing a lot of glory kills, kind of figuring out how everything works, I got a trophy for performing 33 glory kills. In this game, we can collect these purple keys that we use to open Slayer gates. If we complete all 6 Slayer gates, we unlock access to a very cool weapon. And here we get a trophy for completing the first Slayer gate. After that, I spent some time progressing in the campaign without getting any trophies, until I unlocked a curious one, which is the It's a Magic Number trophy for killing 666 demons. And like in the last game, here we can also upgrade our suit, giving some benefits. By fully upgrading a category, we get the This One's My Favorite trophy. Continuing on, we face this boss. First, you need to shoot his lower parts to remove his shield, and only then can you actually kill him. But the developers didn't think that was enough, so 2 more appear afterwards. Killing them makes this cowardly demon appear, begging for forgiveness. Obviously we decapitate him, and with that the chapter ends, and we earn the Hunters became the Hunted trophy. And well, besides the trophy for finishing the game with 10 extra lives, there's also one for collecting a total of 20 extra lives in a single save. This one is pretty easy because I just need to pick up these lives throughout the campaign and not necessarily have them at the end. After all, I died a few times and I have 13 at the moment. Then, right after getting the last crystal in the game, we unlock a trophy for fully upgrading health, armor, and ammo. And in this level, there's this part full of toxic liquid, and I'll tell you, sometimes this game is very confusing to get through. It took me a while to understand what I had to do. At the end of the chapter, we go through this whole part with lava and enter a portal to hunt the Hell Priest. Doing this gets us the Interplanetary Fracking Trophy. But before we get to the priest, we first need to kill the gladiator, which is this really cool boss with a shield. The bad thing about this fight is that it's very hard to hit him. You have to wait for him to try to attack you to create an opening and deal some damage. And just when I thought I was going to kill him, we only destroy his shield and phase 2 begins. But at least now we can hit him easily. So now, we finally managed to kill him, and check out the Slayer smashing the creature's head. And it's amazing how these weakling demons always show up after a fight. In the next chapter, I found the last Slayer key, completing all the gates. And in this level, we have to be very careful because to get the Treasure Hunter trophy, we need to get 100% on this mission. And in the middle of it, there's a collectible where we need to jump into this hole and dash right at this part. But since we're playing in extra life mode, if we fail the jump, there's no way to go back to the last checkpoint, the only alternative being to restart the mission and do it all over again. And guess what? Yes, I failed. I don't know what happened, but I couldn't do the second jump to then dash. Seriously, this jump is so hard to get right, man. So because of that, I had to do this whole mission all over again. Getting here again, I saw a tip saying to use a rune that slows down time when aiming, making this jump easier. And that's what I tried, but I couldn't dash or do the second jump while aiming, falling like an idiot into the water. I really didn't want to repeat this mission all over again, so I closed the game right away and tried to see if restarting the game would spawn me before falling into the hole. And luckily, my strategy worked. So I tried again, but this time without aiming, just jumping and dashing, and I almost failed, but I made it. The rest of the mission was pretty straightforward, and in the end, we get this really cool sword. With it, we can kill any enemy with one slice, although its use is very limited. And finishing this mission gets us 2 trophies, one for getting the sword, and another for winning all encounters and challenges, and finding all the items in this chapter. Now we're very close to the end of the game, and here we're going to get all the collectible trophies. But first, I stopped at this part to do some farming and complete all the weapon mastery challenges. This part is the best for this because enemies spawn infinitely until I destroy a sword that summons the demons. And the good thing is, since there are these weak creatures, I also have infinite ammo, so I spent over an hour here finishing most of the weapon challenges. Then, continuing the campaign, I find the last album in the collection, unlocking the Metalhead trophy. And I also take the opportunity to get all the suit upgrades. Finally, I get the last toy in the collection, unlocking the playset sold separately trophy. Continuing on, we reach this boss with wings. To kill it, we first need to stun it and then use the shotgun's hook to get close and land a heavy punch. We need to repeat this until all its health bars are gone. And finally, in the last mission, we are sent back to Earth, where there's this giant boss. First, we need to destroy its entire armor to then be able to cause damage and kill it. With that, I got several trophies. One for finishing the campaign on any difficulty, and another for completing extra life mode with at least 10 lives in the inventory. Then we stick the sword in the creature's brain, putting an end to the demons. And after this awesome cutscene, we get a trophy for killing the Icon of Sin. After that, we go back to the ship and I get the last codex page, unlocking a trophy. And besides that, I also get the rest of the weapon masteries using a coin we collected in the campaign that can be used to skip the mastery challenge. And I thought this fortress was really cool, especially at the end of the game after collecting all the albums, because you can play each of the songs you got. And there are also several closed off areas that we can use sentinel batteries to open. Spending 8 batteries gets us a trophy. And getting the last cheat code was more annoying. I spent a long time trying to figure out how to get up there, until I saw a guide on YouTube, and thus managed to get it, unlocking the Reforged the Genie Lamp trophy. And as I had said before, by getting all the keys from the Slayer gates, we can open this thing and get a really cool weapon. The sad thing is I only got it now at the end of the campaign and won't be able to use it. Well, I should have gotten the platinum by now. But it turns out there was one trophy left that I hadn't noticed, where I need to complete a mission with the famine mode cheat active. And we only get that cheat in mission 9. But since I was in extra life mode, there was no way to use any cheat codes because there's no chapter select. This means I had to create a new save and play everything all over again up to mission 9. The advantage is that I didn't have to do missions 10 to 13, but it was still really annoying to repeat everything. Then, getting the famine mode cheat, we can finally use it, and basically what it does is prevent demons from dropping health or armor when killed, meaning you can't heal yourself. But since it's only one mission and it can be anyone, we'll do the first one, which is very easy. Completing this mission gets us the Master of Fasting trophy, and finally the platinum. I thought the game was cool, but I still prefer the 2016 one, mainly because your ammo runs out all the time here. It took me a total of 33 hours to get the platinum. Now for the next and last game of the video. Released in May 2025, Doom: The Dark Ages comes as a prequel to the last two games, taking the Slayer to a dark and brutal medieval universe. This game has 22 levels and a great new feature, the shield. Seriously, this thing is perfect. This is the easiest Doom of them all, with a difficulty of only 3 out of 10 and 20 hours to finish. But to be honest, this difficulty can even become a 1/10, because in this game, you can simply change any setting. You can even give yourself a 1000% damage boost. Seriously, it's literally a one-hit kill on everyone. And I know many don't like this, but I simply put everything on easy, but with the game speed increased to 150%. Because after platinuming all the other Doom games, in this one, I just wanted to vibe, killing demons without worrying about dying. After all, after what I've done so far, I don't need to prove anything else. And one thing we need to be aware of in this game is that since it just launched, it came with several bugs. One of them interferes with some trophies, like Berserker. To get this trophy, I need to acquire all the shield and melee weapon upgrades. If we get these upgrades scattered throughout the campaign, there's a high chance of it bugging, losing the save for the platinum. That's why we're gonna let all the resources accumulate and upgrade everything at once at the end of the game, causing several trophies to pop at once. Now, let's go to the campaign, focusing on getting all the collectibles. It starts with some text explaining the Slayer's lore and saying that this game takes place before the other Dooms. And basically, the Doomslayer was created as a living weapon to lead against the forces of hell, but in reality they are traitors working with the demons, so the humans are getting screwed. Good thing we're here to save the day. The main conflict in this game is between us and this Prince Azrak. The first chapter was more of a tutorial showing how the new mechanics work, and at the end, we have some cutscenes showing what the Prince of Hell wants. Finishing this chapter gets us our first trophy. And before the second chapter starts, we have a cutscene with this walking fatso, showing how the Slayer is controlled by the Makers. I can't wait to beat the crap out of these guys. Then in the second chapter, we get the main change in this game, which is the shield. And in this game, there are also several mini-bosses throughout the campaign that we can kill to get their essence and use it to improve our health, among other things. Doing this gets us the essential upgrade trophy. Moving on to Chapter 3, we can control a giant robot and beat up demons. Seriously, what's cooler than that? And finishing this chapter gets us a trophy. In Chapter 4, we face our first boss, who, with our damage cranked up to the moon, simply melted. Another trophy. And continuing the story, if controlling a giant robot wasn't enough, here we control a dragon. Seriously, this is incredible. At various points in the game, we can control and fly with a dragon. And in this chapter, we'll also have to land in several places, eliminating the demonic presence until we reach a place where there was a relic we're looking for. And just as the prince was about to grab it, we blew the whole place up and escaped, leaving the prince looking like a fool. And with that, we get the Bringing the House Down trophy. Then later in the campaign, we see the Slayer freeing himself from the Maker's control. Relax, fatty, your time will come. Then it shows the king being tortured by the Prince of Hell until we arrive with that badass aura. You can tell this prince just crapped his pants here, man. But this witch here ended up hitting us with this crap, throwing us off the platform. So the prince takes the relic and discovers there was nothing inside. Troll meme. We get the giant robot and blow everything up. Unfortunately, that jerk of a prince managed to escape. The king, well, nobody cares about the king. Following the chapters, we reach this boss. Apparently, all the bosses here are called champions. Killing him gets us another trophy. And then it shows this woman taking this blue liquid in her hand, causing her to get some cool powers. And with that, we also get another trophy. This woman ended up getting captured, and we missed her by a second. So in the next chapter, our mission will be to rescue her. Facing this Komodo boss, melting him with a beating gets us a trophy. And, well, here we don't have the classic BFG. Instead, they put in this ballista that in the end works just like a BFG. Yeah, okay, meme. It's pretty overpowered, as you can see, and that will help a lot in the next chapters. And in this mission, we were basically trying to free this giant monster to help us against the demons. And let's be real, this scene is awesome as hell. After doing this, we get the jailbreak trophy. Then later in the story, we enter inside this creature, which was very strange. This part was very confusing, and I was running around the map several times looking for the exit. So we reached that woman, but her power ended up shocking us, with the prince arriving shortly after saying that her power is stronger than we can handle, using the relic to suck some of the power and blowing everything up, ending this chapter. With that, a portal opens for all of hell to invade Earth. Yeah, it's not gonna work, meme. And after seeing the look of hatred on the Slayer's face, He forcibly removes this yellow thing from his chest because he is still controlled by the makers with it. But because of that, we fall into a lake of acid, and the Slayer literally dies. Really dies. End of story.
Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you?
Although he technically died, the guy still refuses to rest and continues on like a zombie. This is the real devil of the game. Our mission now will be to escape from hell, killing everyone. But in the midst of this, since I had already gathered all the resources to upgrade everything and get the Berserker trophy, I'll also get several other trophies all related to getting upgrades for the shield and melee weapons. Then, I also got a trophy for completing my first weapon mastery challenge, where I have to hit 50 demons with all the shrapnel from the super shotgun shots. So I continued the story, escaping from hell and getting the Too Angry to Die trophy. And meanwhile, the humans were performing a ritual to revive us because without the Slayer, they would be screwed. And in this final chapter, before reaching the Prince of Hell, I got a trophy for getting all the health upgrades and all the armor ones. Then we faced that fatso who was controlling us. I told you his time would come. This boss fight with him was very long, with several phases. In the end, he asked for forgiveness, but obviously we will have no mercy, thus unlocking another trophy. And now we finally face the Prince of Hell. After making him bleed a little, the guy gets pissed and goes naked, lol. Yes, but with him like that, it was much easier to cause damage. And by defeating him, we take the relic from his body, along with his power, also saving that woman from before. With that, he ends up going back to hell, and of course, we get a trophy for all of this. Then, in the final chapter, everyone goes to hell to finish off the prince and his entire army for good, saving the world. And during this mission, I got the vast majority of the remaining trophies. Lore Nerd for collecting all the codex pages. Toy Collector for the demonic toys. And finally, by killing the last mini-boss, I got a trophy for fully upgrading ammo, and another for completing all of these upgrades. Then we face the final fight with the prince and his witch. Killing them concludes the campaign, and we get the game complete trophy. Now I only have 2 trophies left to finish the platinum. One for completing all missions, and one for completing all the weapon mastery challenges. I just had a little bit left to finish, so it was pretty straightforward. The first one I got was for completing all the challenges, and right after, along with the platinum, the one for finishing the masteries. I really enjoyed this game. The graphics and cutscenes were awesome. For anyone still thinking about buying it, I recommend it. In total, it took me around 14 hours to get the platinum, being the second fastest platinum in the world. I literally finished this game in one day, playing non-stop, and with that, we finally reached the end of this video. It was by far the most laborious and difficult video to make for the channel. From the suffering of platinuming all these games, to editing 200 hours into one video. So if you liked it, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. Now let me rest a bit because the next game I'll have to platinum is Crash 4.